So, you've learned your first batch of open chord shapes, and you can change from chord to chord with confidence and ease. But you find that you still get lost in the chord progression, either finding yourself behind or ahead of your target chord. So, what's going on? Well, the issue is probably not your fretting hand, or your sense of time, or your ability to count. It's most probably an issue with the regimentation of your strumming hand. So, how do we fix things? Well, let's talk about matrix strumming. What exactly is a matrix? Well, simply speaking, it's a framework or a grid. Think of needlepoint. The matrix is the grid-like canvas upon which the needle pointer stitches his or her designs. So what's our canvas as guitar players? Well, in a nutshell, it's a grid of eighth notes produced by alternate strumming, or in other words, a steady stream of strictly alternating up and down strokes. So when building the matrix, just remember, downstrokes occur on numbered beats. In other words, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We've all done this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And upstrokes naturally occur on the ands between those number beats. This also happens naturally. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You don't have to do anything different. You just move your hand like you would normally, and those ands are already there. The only thing we're going to do is use those ands. Now, work on counting out loud while alternate strumming. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so forth and so on. And this is the matrix. Now, slowly play through a simple chord progression like G, C, notice I'm using the C add 9, doesn't really matter, D and G. And apply the entire matrix to each chord change. And don't let yourself move to the next chord until you've played the final stroke, or the and, of count 4. Also, don't let your strumming hand stop or slow down to accommodate the speed of your fretting hand. Force your fretting hand to change chords in sync with your strumming motions. This is the secret. It'll be slow and awkward at first, but you'll pick up steam pretty quickly. So this is what strict adherence to the matrix sounds like, and we'll be using the chord progression that we discussed a little earlier, G, C, D, G. And I'm going to play it 2 times, the first time counting out loud, and then I'll play it again just strumming. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 Here's a few final thoughts on matrix strumming. Number 1, strict alternation will probably not sound like the strumming patterns used by your favorite players because we're using every stroke. But at this point, it's more important to stay in time and play rhythmically and propulsively than it is to play cool patterns. We can always spice things up later, and we will. 2, knowing the matrix allows you to later on divide and or add to the core matrix rhythms, which will produce other, more complex and nuanced patterns. And 3, the matrix idea applies to pretty much any time signature. With slight alteration, even odd eighth note times, 5/8 and 7/8 will fit the system. Matter of fact, here's an example of the matrix in 3/4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and... Hopefully you can use this idea of matrix strumming to tidy your playing and your timing up a little bit. Now, your playing will become a little more regimented, and in future episodes we will address how to loosen your playing back up and make it feel a little more natural and organic. So that's coming up in a few weeks. Anyway, thanks for watching String 'em Up. My name's Dave Holland, and remember to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Also, feel free to leave comments and suggestions for any topics you'd like to see in future episodes. Anyway, have fun, stay safe, call your mom, you know she worries. See you next time.